Does this work for football too? Because then we used to get two. Like one.
So I've got 3 district pass. I thought only the new board members didn't have them, but did you?
Do those last? I mean, do
They're 2
they?
years.
I'd say 23, 24.
Yeah, the football says it was,
So did you guys not get new ones last year?
No, we did.
but I think they were just for that year, that football year.
We're only giving them out annual.
Yeah, the football was annual
We
as
did
well.
not get last
Does it say 2023? These say 2023 too.
By 324.
They're in the district for 2 years, so I
Okay.
assume they're the same. These are the ones I got this year.
Then that's-
Those are new, right?
These are the new ones.
Yeah, they're just about
The
done.
conference, but these are.
Those are
district
just for
football.
district football.
District football. Did you get those?
I have, yeah, I thought they were just 1 year, but they're 2 years.
Yes.
I haven't got a football one, I've got the Red Bird Valley.
So I asked for 3 new ones. I thought 3 new board members, but
They're not gonna stop me at the gate anyways.
well, but this is for away.
I know.
They'll honor those, but so.
Let's be
I got
honest.
3,
Okay.
Tim, and
I don't
I
travel.
thought.
I don't
should've
travel.
gotten them, but no.
Oh,
I don't know.
I'm delicate. Up for just it.
they were good.
These are
They
for,
were like
those are
bars or something.
those, this is for the away.
Oh, that's right.
So the district football.
I'm.
Well,
awful
I
at
thought you
this,
had them, otherwise
But I
I
should
could
find some.
Will you read tonight,
I
Malcolm,
know.
for me? And strategic direction, it's coming up, or priority, permission and 3.
Nothing's been reading.
Malcolm, unless you have,
No, I have now predetermined who will be reading.
3.
Sometimes I can.
Permission for.
Yep.
Yep.
The next day.
Oh, Kendra, you actually sent them. You are hilarious. For my scrapbook.
Hey, it gets the job done.
Pictures start at 8, Doug, or like our teachers going 7:30 like normal tomorrow.
Yes, yeah, I had to change my.
Sorry.
Picture time, so, yes,
Okay,
teacher will start right away at 7:30 whenever they get there.
Make sure Corey gets through the line early.
Yeah,
He's got places.
I
to
may
be.
or may not have one from 2020 still in the book, so
you need to update for
it
it.
looked really good that day though. So,
All right, 5 o'clock, call the meeting to order. Will everybody please stand for the pledge of allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Malcolm, will you please read the mission statement and strategic priority number 3?
We will empower a community of lifelong learners who strive for personal excellence through meaningful relationships and real-world and capable experiences. Strategic priority is number 3, expand opportunities for students to develop self-worth and connection to others.
Thank you, sir. Next up is conflict of interest declaration. Now is the time to declare if any of the agenda items pose a personal conflict of interest. Does anybody have anything to declare?
What about me being on the SIAC? That's being approved today. No, okay.
What's the vote membership? I don't.
She's on this.
Okay.
Is it?
Typical to have a board member or 2 on the
Yeah,
side
yep.
committee.
Yeah, I think it's fine.
Quorum.
Okay.
I think you're okay.
Okay. All right, approval agenda. Any other modifications to that?
Yeah, there was 2 contracts that were added after the fact that there was listed as contract. We had 2 come in that we added. One's the LEA art participation and then one with classroom clinic, which is being reviewed by legal and we end up getting it today.
So under F,
Yeah, under
item
consent
3 and
agenda
4.
added. Yeah,
Okay.
3 and 4 were added. Yeah.
All right, with those, I'd entertain a motion to accept or approve the agenda as presented.
I so move.
Second.
Motion by Gina, second by Malcolm. All those in favor say aye.
I,
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, we are up to greet visitors and communication from the public. Members of the community are invited to make comments about items of interest or concern. We'd like to remind you that this is a board meeting in the public, not a public meeting. By law, members cannot address concerns during this portion of the meeting. We ask you that you remember Iowa law prohibits the board from discussing specific employees, their job performance, or individual students. And I have Alexia, help me out, Rosado.
Do I just stand here?
You can stand there, you can come up here, whichever you're more comfortable with.
Okay, doesn't matter, whichever's better for you.
Right there is fine.
Okay. I wrote it on my iPad.
Perfect.
Hi, my name is Alexi Mazzato, and I'm a parent of an elementary student here at Winstead. Today, I want to talk about the rule that forbids students to wear smartwatches in the classroom. I understand that the board thinks it will be a distraction and will do more harm than good. But I will talk about why I, along with other parents in the district, think it is a good idea to let them be worn at all times. One great way for it not to be a distraction is to put the watch on school mode. It allows the students to make emergency calls to police or their parents, but this is the only thing they can do. They can't call, text, play games, or even take pictures. It becomes essentially just a watch that allows parents to continue to track their location. This helps eliminate the cost for distraction. The student can also not take it off of school mode, only a parent. It is a safety measure for a majority of the parents as it alerts parents if their student isn't at the school. I know the school has an amazing front desk security, but at the end of the day, the pickup is a bit of a mess. And I've had a kid walk up to my car who thought it was theirs because I have a Jeep and it looks familiar. And the staff did not say anything. But what if the kid did this to the wrong person and God forbid something happened? A watch would alert the parent as soon as the student left the premises. They could react quickly and it could change the entire outcome of the situation. A case from August 11, 2016 in Utah tells the story how a little boy was abducted and his gizmo, along with his fast thinking, helped him get away and back home safely. I know one could say, well, they could put the watch on before they leave the building, but the issue with that is children are forgetful. And they will most likely forget to put it back on without a help from a teacher, which again becomes a distraction. I think that after school safety should be just as important as the school being in the building. I also know that some will just say, because a few students do good with them, doesn't mean that every student would. But I don't think it is fair to think the opposite and react on that. By saying one kid abused it once, now nobody gets it, seems a bit harsh. I do think having some rules on the watch makes total sense to keep them from becoming a distraction. Just as we sign things for school saying we agree to all the school rules, why don't we add an agreement to the watches? Saying that they have to be on school mode, so if it ever becomes an issue for one student, that student can get punished or taken for their actions. I have talked to other parents in the district and they agree having the watch gives them a peace of mind. With all the craziness in the world, we think it is safe to have it, and the last thing we want is for our kids to be distracted in school, which is why I applaud them for making the school mode. I thank you for your time and hope that we can change this.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, so get back to my agenda here. Board salute, Justin.
Yeah, so we have David Courtney here, and I don't know if you've heard, I think I gave it to you in a board update about a situation on the bus last Friday. I was not on the bus, but Mrs. Lopez was, and she can maybe speak a little bit, and Mrs. Plant reviewed the video as well. Had a student choking and gave the universal sign for choking. And for multiple adult accounts, it was David's quick action, calm demeanor, performing the Heimlich that allowed the cane to be dislodged and avoided a situation that could have been much, much worse. I talked to David Friday night and told him, thank you. I heard all the guys said, I don't know if you know, but he's also enlisted and in the service. And he said, well, that's what they train you to do. By all accounts, he acted with bravery, without hesitation, and quite possibly could have saved the kid's life. So I think that's why he's here with board salute. I'll let Mrs. Plant say anything else that I missed, or Ms. Lopez was there when it happened, so.
We had a video of what to do. And I get emotional over everything, but David, I was emotional. I was overwhelmed with emotion because I was so proud of him. It just made me view him in a different way. Yeah, he's younger, way younger than me, but he did a great job. I mean, I wish everybody, no, not to be in that situation, but if they were able to see, or how should I say it? If they're in my face and we're able to be there, I'm just proud of David. I don't even know, I'm without words, because, and that's rare. Yes, you did a great job.
Every adult that has seen the video or was there said he acted very quickly and calmly and performed the Heimlich and was able to dislodge the candy and like I said, could have ended up a lot worse. So, that's why I think board salute and Julie mentioned, I think it's great. So David, you come up, we'd like to present with a document.
I am absolutely not.
You don't want to do that one?
Thank you, David. That was
Thanks,
amazing.
Sarah.
Thank you.
Good job.
Yep, get it.
No, I mean, no. Kimberly, tell me yes.
You don't gotta sign.
One, yep, one on each.
You just
side.
hold that.
So good. So good. Perfect.
Thank you. Next up, information only, building level reports.
Yeah, so principals are back this month, so I asked them to come and give you kind of an update. I did link Mr. Sussman's report in there, for you to get a chance to look at it or not, but, let's start with Doug.
All right, going down to strategic, plan priority number one, actually one and two kind of go together for me. Third grade now is working on again with the chamber pamphlets they started with last year. They'll work with, the people with the chamber, and businesses and things to design pamphlets as visitors come to town. And they print those and they hand them out, and it's part of the promotional facility things that they do. Second grade, has a plant unit that they've done every year. However, this year they're working, gonna work with some master gardeners to possibly do raised plant gardens at the school, and some other things to help out. One of the things came up, Ken was talking into this, somebody, they don't have enough fresh vegetables at the food pantry. So that was a second grade concern. One thing we want to do is solve problems, so that what if we start growing this stuff ourselves? So that's kind of a second grade thing, and they'll work on designing those beds. They talked about trying to maybe work with the high school and see if the shop could build for us. Along that same lines and getting out in the community, preschools taking tours of various businesses, just learn what businesses do and what they sell and how they do things, in our town. Down to strategic priority 3, we've already started having all our high school people coming over, the High Five Fridays. The tutors are coming over and building relationships with kids, and developing their self-worth, as they work with their kids. And then 4, we have CKH up and running. We're taking our last teachers this next week to train to get CKH. So we're all ready to enroll with that. Yeah.
Questions for Doug? I'll go right to the line, Julie.
Mine's gonna sound similar to Doug's. Strategic priority number 1, at the middle school, we took a team this summer to Napa Valley, and expanded our learning around project-based learning. And so we have come back, we're continuing to learn as a faculty. We're doing a couple of our early Wednesday morning, getting everybody kind of on the same page of what it means to create a rigorous, gold standard project for learning. And so my teams are in different places with that, but everybody's in some form of a planning stage. So identifying which units of study students are gonna actually produce a public product. Teams are super excited, and my kids are super excited because they're gonna really start to dive into some real world problems. As we are developing those projects, this goes into strategic priority number 2, we are focusing on those skills and dispositions that are needed for the workforce for kids to be successful. So we have a lot of them that are speaking and listening, the collaboration that as we're developing those units, we're really using that POG to align with. The last focus for me is on strategic 3. I have met with our CKH team, and the building is committed to applying for national showcase status for year 2. So that is something that's, for those of you who are not sure, we collect our story from the beginning to the spring, and then we kind of submit that to the organization, and they base their recognition off of kind of our data and our story and where we've come. So year 2, team said that's where we want to go. So we're continuing to work. We'll be asking students again about their memorable moments and their connections to school. Just kind of off to a really good start.
Any questions, Julie?
We talked to Jason about the math part. I mean, he's Darwin's all in, he thinks it's just wonderful, and it sounded exciting when he was explaining it to us.
Yeah, sixth grade's doing community recipes, so it'll have a community connection.
Josh, assessment.
Sure. So for strategic priority one, this Wednesday, we're gonna kick off the planning for our authentic learning showcase, which is scheduled for March 4th during parent teacher conferences. And we're gonna open up to free to parents and the wider community to have kids present on all the projects they've been doing throughout the year. Our PD initiative is gonna support this work. We are also looking at gold standard PBL. And so our goal is for the authentic learning showcase to deploy a gold standard project for that. We're also actively planning for our career day snapshot. This will be the second year we've done this. We do a little different twist this year. Seventh grade is going to be like last year, which is a traditional career exploration, but our eighth grade is going to have a POG focus. So we're currently reaching out to local employers and asking them if they'll come in and present on how they use the different competencies in our profile of a graduate in their career. And then we're gonna do some interviews. We're gonna have kids lead some interviews, get those recorded, and then get those posted. My BLT and I thought it was important. The local community employers had some input on what the POG competencies were. So it shows, we're listening to you, we're teaching this. And at the same time, our kids get to hear from these people that this isn't just something we talk about in class, but stuff you'll apply in your everyday life. Currently working on setting up some employer visits for our seventh and eighth graders. Talking with the Iowa Wolves right now. We're going to take a group of eighth graders up there. Again, this idea that the Iowa Wolves is, yes, it's a professional basketball organization, but there's many different careers within that organization for kids to be thinking about. So just opening their eyes up to possibilities for them. Strategic priority two, the idea of 21st century skills and student opportunities. We're excited to partner with Andrea Stewart. She's coming in our building on the 25th. Help us unpack these competencies and then come meet with our PLC teams and how we can deploy this in the classroom to bring these skills to life. Strategic priority three, expand opportunities for students to develop self-worth and connection to others. We've really tapped into this idea of being the best junior high in Iowa. And by buying into that and being a contributor to that, it's like you are going to develop connections to each other in self-worth because you're on this team together. So I linked it in there. It's a scoreboard we've been using. I've been sharing this with the students, staff, and families in my weekly update. But what the scoreboard does is it tracks 4 metrics that kids can grasp onto that ties back to being the best junior high in Iowa. We want 90% of our kids to be present 90% or more of the days in the term. 90% of our kids have a C- or above in all classes. 90% of our kids have between 0 and 2 off referrals. And then we want to have 3,000 difference maker dollars distributed per term. If they do that, they're part of the best junior high in Iowa, and we'll celebrate them. So by really tapping into this concept, it's this idea of being connected to each other and have self-worth, because when you're part of something that's winning, you start to feel good about yourself and be connected to each other. And then strategic priority 4, strong relationships between student, staff, and community. We planned 5 intentional relationship building activities with the community. First one was family engagement night, which went really well. Color Run was a success, bounce house, rock wall. The next one is on September 18th for junior high families. We're going to do the morning muffin mingle. So if you have a student in the junior high, feel free to come over 8:30, 8:45 junior high commons. I will feed you and hydrate you. And then at the building level, it's all about capturing kids' hearts and deploying the Excel model and really leveling up our practices. We created a CKH house cup. The teachers are divided into 4 different houses. We've created a scoring guide in a Google form for teachers about the Excel model. And we've leveled up, like you can get different amount of points for taking CKH to the next level. Teachers get built-in incentives for doing that. And the winning team gets a steak dinner at the end of the term. And they have to do like 95% implementation, but they hold each other accountable. We also get some really good self-reflection data on it. And the names of the teams are funny. So it's all about keeping the momentum going and having them buy into the CKH and all that good stuff. So that's all I got.
Questions for Josh?
So is your data that on the chart you shared, is that current data? Or is that?
That would be whenever I sent this to Justin. So I just
It's
screenshot
Friday.
it.
I
Friday?
think it was Friday. So
Yeah, so we update the attendance daily, we update the difference maker dollars daily, because kids have to turn those into the office to get put into their bank account. I update the referrals whenever one comes in there, I go click in there and enter those, and then I pull a grade report on Sunday afternoon and put a kid, anyone who's under a C minus. We have a system where we use check boxes and it triggers it. So, and then we use that in grade level meetings as a jumping off point to who we need to talk about, who needs help, where's the data showing us, where do we need to go next?
Any other questions? Kim?
So I've got mine printed off here for you.
Thank you, yes, I can do that.
Thanks.
Somehow.
Thanks, cool. Take one, pass it on. Take one, pass it on.
Yeah, so very similar, right, here in the fourth.
Right on it.
Strategic, priorities there. We're talking about the first one. Sorry. There it is. First one, we've got BLT, something we took away from the Future Ready, and I should probably start with that, I apologize. I want to thank the board for supporting us and going to different trainings and conferences this summer. So I know I got to go to Future Focus Conference, Washington DC with Justin, and others, right, learned a bunch. Mr. Sussex, the assistant principal, was at NASSP in Nashville, took a lot of stuff away from there, and then we were able to have Sadie Cahalan and Emma Davis go to the PBL conference in California. And so I know all of that takes money. I know a lot of that is, PD funds and that sort of stuff. So I appreciate your guys' willingness to send our staff to that. So very first thing we're working on with our BLT is a College Career and Life Ready Student Scorecard. Found that in the Future Focus Conference, Washington DC. School out of Texas, and truthfully, 15 years of doing admin, one of the best things I've seen, as far as actually being able to report out, are our kids doing these things? So worthwhile, definitely. We're adjusting it to our school and the things that our kids are doing. So that's taking a little time, but that's one of our focus points. Second one, we've got Scott Dreyer. It's with the Department of Ed. He actually isn't there anymore. He's not Iowa State, supervising student teachers. He's gonna be coming in throughout the year, leading instructional rounds at the high school level with an emphasis on tasks. So we'll be collecting data in the classrooms around what we're asking kids to do in the classroom, not they should be doing this, they should be doing this. It's like, what are they actually doing? At what cognitive level are they actually doing it? How are we asking them to demonstrate their learning? And then what value beyond our high school walls does this task have? So all of that wraps and ties into AIW, something that we're starting here. So different rounds dates are there. We've got Emma and Sadie, they're leading PD Wednesday on PBL, very similar to every other building that sent members there. We've increased expectations for authentic learning tasks and experiences to one per semester. And all of that is that slow growth of seeing this more and more in our school day. Heather, Corey, and I have completed a work-based learning playbook that I think Corey's sharing with you guys tonight. Everything that we're doing around work-based learning, apprenticeships, let's not be the thing, later. Work-based learning apprenticeships and how we're doing these things. And when we're talking about job shadows, we're talking about mock interviews, we're talking about pre-apprenticeships, we're talking about work-based learning, we're talking about supervised ag experiences with kids. Like, our students are doing a ton of work outside of our classroom that's meaningful and connects to their future career. So we're excited about that. Second one, strategic plan. These are all a little bit smaller, I guess, but advisory calendar we've created with the links to all of our Xolo lessons. What we're doing every week is I'm meeting with classes every single week. They start with a habit of an effective person, which are Covey stuff. I'm a Covey fan, so right, the first one is being proactive. Start every week with that class meeting, and then we go into information that's essential for that. So for example, seniors looking at scholarships, here's the dates, here's what you need to know if you're going to graduate early, and then other things like parking spot, homecoming, check your email, that type of stuff. We're continuing to do our student tours, college campuses. We took a group to Acumol last week. We have a group go to Iowa State tomorrow. We just continue to foster through these things. Where do you guys want to go? What do you want to see? Where do you need to be? And so trying to do that. Strategic plan 3, Nick Mulder's organizer on High Five Fridays at the elementary and middle school. Again, trying to get our bigs in front of our littles,
have a positive impact and get those guys excited about the school day. CKH, we send out our Start Strong, staff survey today. We'll get baseline data on implementation. And then Chad and the Process Champions team will do their Process Champion team walkthroughs October 1 through 3 in the classroom. Where we collect that data and see implementation of CKH strategies. Strategic priority 4, again, every day it's a chance for you to create relationships with the kids, but so you guys know, homecoming week next week starts on Sunday. We'll decorate halls, we'll do dodgeball at 3:30 on Sunday. Got spirit seminars on Monday from 1:30 to 3. So that's for painting the windows. We might have, I don't know, there's a color bomb thing. We've got climbing wall, you name it, we've got it for spirit seminars, which is good. Tuesday, we'll have our meet the candidates assembly that'll go on at 9 o'clock that morning. There will be no lip syncing as part of that. Thursday, we'll conduct pep rallies for the elementary and middle school. And then Friday, we'll have the big parade, we'll have the big pep rally, 9th grade, and then the dance of course on Saturday for 8th to 10th middle school. Another opportunity is exciting. So in your packet on the back is a Canva poster that our seniors put together for the dress themes. I know all of you guys are Spotify members, so you can just link in and you get the song right there. It corresponds with the dress day. We'll be playing the song before school. It's just gonna be awesome. It's gonna be wonderful. Also, senior parking spots start October 6th. So the designs have to be turned in by Sunday of this week. And basically what we do is we charge $30 for those senior parking spots. That covers the cost of the paint, and then anything extra that we are collecting. Our student council is running this as part of their statewide project. The extra money goes to McFable Farms this year. And that's a place that's impacting a lot of our students. A great place for that. So also we got Power Puff football on the 6th. We got He-Man volleyball on the 9th. Again, those are fundraisers for post-prom, opportunity for kids to come into the school, create relationships, be a part of something. Ton of guest speakers in already at WHS. We just keep bringing people in and we just say, did you check in at the office? That's all I really need to know. And then we bring them in and they sometimes, yeah, it's great.
Sometimes I don't check in.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes, yeah. But we're just adding that layer of authenticity to classes. So, we have guest speaker today even from talking to our kids in government about caucusing. What does that mean? What does that look like? We have Mr. Thompson in with Woods class talking about different, how we're selecting woods, looking at grains, what wood is good for what projects, that sort of thing. So whatever we can bring somebody in, we do. And then last one, continue to hold mock interviews as part of English 10 and our job shout is part of English 11. DMAC has jumped on that also. So now like in intro or college level bio and genetics, they all need to do a job shadow in addition to the one that they're doing in English 11. So like our kids are partnering with DMU and different healthcare systems in the Des Moines Metro where they're able to not only just, trail a nurse or receptionist or something, they're actually getting into like the administrative positions, the marketing positions. They're trying to teach the kids about other things besides being a doctor in a hospital setting. So got that going. Building level stuff, I gave you the thank you already. You guys are more welcome to attend any assembly, anything you want for homecoming. We'd love to have you there. Also during homecoming, because why not? September 17th is US Constitution Day. We're again doing the Carrie Chapman Cat voter registration drive that day. So anybody that's 17 years or older that wants to register to vote, we'll do that online in the library. Letter got sent out 4:45 today, notifying parents, optional, we're not forcing anybody to do it. But our school does get recognized by the percentage of seniors who are registered. Last year, we were state recognized as being 70%, which was pretty good. We're hoping to be higher than that this year. And again, not a mandatory thing, just getting them opportunity. This Thursday, we have Choices Matter Assembly at 10 o'clock. It's a free assembly to us through the Iowa Department of Education, Transportation. And it's around not driving impaired, wearing your seatbelt, making smart choices behind the wheel of a car. We thought it was fitting this week with homecoming being next week, to again, educate our students prior to that time. We will not cover TPing in that assembly, that's just kind of girl. We should have that. Anyway, I know we're scheduling ATV safety assembly. I wasn't able to be there, so we'll have some details of that. Parent teacher conferences coming up on the 23rd already for us. And then last one that you guys might want to know about, we've got a gal coming in to run healthy relationships seminars. What we're finding is we've got a lot of, we're seeing more and more dating violence and unhealthy relationship status with our high schoolers. And this is an opportunity for them to come and learn about what healthy relationships look like. What are signs of an unhealthy relationship? Completely optional for students to come in, but they'll be there on September 20, October 7th, and October 14th for students that are interested. So, also attached are my wigs for the year, the goals for the high school, and then, yeah, Spotify. So.
Questions for Cam?
With the ABBA grade.
Yeah.
Love it. Wildly.
So, you start your truck.
Where is going?
It is.
You didn't take a break to turn it off, Tim, or?
You get obsessed.
I would agree. I'm sure that's.
Just figure like, do you see it?
Thank you, sir.
Yes,
Yeah,
thank
I
you.
love it.
I've been in the building a lot that first week, and there's a lot going on in the high school and the junior high. I've been through both hallways. It's extremely busy already. I haven't made it to the other buildings yet. I'll get there tomorrow and sometime. I'll be there, don't worry. Dr. St. John, I think you're next.
Yep, so I've got the longer one tonight. I tried really hard. This could have been 4 to 6 hours, tried to make it like 4 minutes. And so, because there's just so much happening, this is the most challenging one of the year. Because how do we encompass like all the things that are happening right away? And so really what this will do is they'll focus on 2 areas. What teacher leadership is up to, and then also like the priorities for professional development. And a lot of it's just going to be a repeat of what you just heard. If you want to go to the third one there, that one. Yep. So what we tried to do for new staff and for Tim, just, I don't know if we've done this before in the past, is just how do we like put together this idea of teacher leadership? And the goal is this idea of how do we continue to cultivate a culture that focuses on collaboration. It's bigger than just professional learning community work and things like that, but how do we like articulate this? And so we started doing this with our new staff onboarding, where how we articulate like what the system of support looks like under teacher leadership. So this idea of putting the classroom teacher in the center, and then what does the leadership support look like? And really it comes down to 3 areas. The teams we put people on, the administrative staff, and then also these, what we call TLC, teacher leadership and compensation, which what we call teacher leaders. And so really what I wanted to do is just unpack on the next one, just unpack what that looks like and just kind of what people are up to. And so first, this starts with this idea of what our instructional coaches are up to and what their goal is really to support teachers and teams. Really, at the end of the day, that's the big picture, is how do they go in, boots on the ground, work alongside classroom teachers, and how can they support those teachers, whether it be an individual, whether it be a group, or whether it be a designated team. For example, the 3rd grade team, all the way through like to the math department at the high school. And so they're well on their way. We've got building coaches at the elementary and middle school, supporting new teachers, supporting people getting back into the swing of things with routines, classroom management, current teachers, not just new to the district, things like that. And then our content coaches are supporting in professional development modules, working really, really hard at getting back to literacy routines, getting back to best practices in math instruction. And I'm just super proud of this group of individuals who have really taken on a lot of work, and they've spent a lot of time working with our teachers and our teams, and they've done a lot. And so we'll show some of that throughout the year. And so we'll show some examples and things like that throughout the year, but that's just to highlight what they're up to. Mentoring. One of the systems we changed this year is we went back to one-to-one mentors. And so each year one and each year two to the profession, not to the district, but to the profession, has a assigned mentor, and this is part of the teacher leadership system. And so these are experienced teachers who are supporting our first and or second year in the profession. And that's gone really, really well so far. And that actually started before school started. And so in between when new staff came to us and when school started for all of our staff for their days and their PD days, there's been some one-on-one targeted support. So I help support the mentors, support our new staff. That's gone really, really well so far. Another group that's fairly new in its second year is the instructional lead teacher. These are individuals who are identified as our building leadership team members. Also, something this year that this group is charged with is helping us navigate the profile of a graduate work. And so what this group specifically will do is this group will help take those 6 competencies of the profile of a graduate and help us articulate what we want that to look like at the K3, pre-K3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 12 level. And that's, I think Cam alluded to, or Josh alluded to, Andrea Stewart. So we have an external partner who's actually gonna come to you guys at one point during the year and kind of share like the work we've been up to. So we've got an external source that's helping us walk through this process. And so the deliverable at the end of the year is we'll have what we want this to look like. And then the following year will be, okay, what are some of the vehicles we want, whether it be project-based learning, authentic learning, those types of things. And then the last one is new to us this year. And one of the things we noticed is that some of the changes that we've administered have not just been administrator driven, but there hasn't been a ton of like conversation around the entire district about some of the newer things that we've been implementing. And so one of the tools that we've added here is this idea of putting a team together of building leadership team members, district and building admin, where if somebody has an idea they want to implement, whether it be through professional development or whether it be a project they want to do, there is a process where now a teacher at any level, at any building, can submit an idea proposal, and these proposals and ideas will get vetted through a group of district leaders where we can go back and ask more questions. But really, at the end of the day, what this does is what we're asking in project-based learning is more voice and choice in the classroom. And so this is the district modeling. How do we implement more voice and choice amongst our staff in the things that they do? And this is the bigger picture things. This isn't like I want something for my individual classroom or whatever. We have other entities and other processes for that. But what this will do is this will give us the opportunity to hear from staff directly on, I have an idea for this that might affect my grade level, or I have an idea that might affect our building. And so this gives us an opportunity to hear all of the things that are happening around the district, articulate that, and support people in what they want to do. Really excited about this. We have 2 projects already that have started to get traction and things like that. And we've already met once as a group, but this group will meet monthly. There's a process, there's a form to fill out. And then really, how can then we take ideas to the next level? And the goal is to hear staff out and to implement new ideas. So it's not just, oh, like we have an idea for you. It's staff that they can say like, we have an idea for our grade level, our department, et cetera. Bigger than just like my classroom. I don't know if you want to add anything else to that.
So it came from some of the stuff I saw when I was out at the national convention, and Pella runs something too. Not only is it allow staff, but also allows you, part of the process is you can't say yes to everything or you're spread too thin. So it's a way to look at, do we have the capacity, whether that be financial, time, personnel, to carry it out, or do we delay this for a while until we have more capacity? Does it need resources that we can allocate towards it? So it's kind of something I pulled together from 2 different districts to help manage it, support ideas. An example, Tim, you alluded to the math that Jason Darling's running. That started with a small group of teachers doing some professional development, required whiteboards in almost every one of our math classrooms. Great. Had they brought that to us up front, we could have networked that math across the buildings quicker.
Yeah.
Got more people involved quicker, and had those resources in hand a little sooner. Does it make sense? Clearly aligns to what we're trying to do with professional development. So it's a way to vet those processes, get resources, get support, and then also that we're not doing too much. Does that make sense? That we're kind of being cognizant of the capacity that we have. And does it align with what we're trying to do as a district around the 4 priorities? So that would be an example of a project that could have got scaled up, I think, a little faster. Not that how it was bad, but we were piecemealing whiteboards together to get people what they needed, where if they had said, hey, we said, okay, what's this gonna take to implement? We could have ran a little smoother. Does that make sense? And kept everybody across the district on the same page. So
And
there's-
informed, so people
Yeah.
understand, so like that way, these aren't just one-offs for PD and things like that too, and so then we can, oh, so here's what this building is learning. And it's just, it's that time to just, how do we calibrate, how do we continue and connect with district-wide stuff and support buildings individually simultaneously. And then the next part is just really some of the priorities regarding professional development. What I linked in there, you don't need to click on that, but it's just to show the intentionality of what the goals are for PD. So one of the tasks that actually starts in like December, January, February of the previous school years, we start looking at calendars and we start looking at what do we need to do district-wide. Because the excitement and the challenge all simultaneously is how do we continue to forge ahead as a district with those priorities and directions, and also support individual school buildings because things look different. For example, capturing kids' hearts looks a lot different at the elementary building in the 2nd grade classroom than it does in Algebra 1 or Algebra 2. And so how do we continue to support folks with that difference, keeping that direction similar at the same time? And so that this takes a lot of thought and intentionality and just a lot of focus. And so, and also how do we take this idea of district and building PD and how do we implement that and integrate that in the strategic directions? And so really for us, it started with new staff onboarding, and that's a lot of fun. And so that starts with us, doing new staff orientation, new staff professional development. How do we get them the things that they need? And that starts early in August. One of the tasks that we did was how do we kick all of this off? And so one of the decisions we made district-wide was to bring in an external speaker. Buddy Berry, the superintendent of the district in Kentucky, we went to visit last year. Part of the conversation last spring was the people who went really liked it. And so then they shared with their colleagues, and I had about 15, 20 people like, I'd like to go. And then we started doing the math and started doing the budgeting, and it's like, well, let's see if we could bring him here. And it was more cost effective. And I actually think we had a better experience bringing him here. Just because we're all here, we all got to hear that same message and things like that. And then really, how do we then deploy these concepts throughout the district? And just really what the priority areas are is really this idea of authentic learning, which you heard about in all 4 building updates, the profile of graduate competencies with Andrea Stewart and the work they're doing at the buildings. We spent a lot of time and intentionality with artificial intelligence, AI. There's some really neat tools out there that we're going to continue to show throughout the year. We're actually looking at another one that the state purchased for us, which is an elementary literacy math tutor, or excuse me, a literacy robot tutor. So you read to her and she teaches you skills. And so that's something that our state has purchased. And we're going to start utilizing that as well here in the near future. Capturing kids' hearts is a priority as well. We're sending new staff who weren't able to be trained in the summer to some training. And then really, how does this then work for the individual teacher through professional development, through personalized PD? That's another priority area of ours, is how do we give teachers the opportunity to improve in what they want to improve in. There's always going to be district professional development. There's always going to be building-wide professional development. And then there's this third tier of like, okay, I'm a classroom teacher and here's what I want to work with within the system, within the parameters. And we really try to give as few parameters as possible, but we also want that to be grounded and focused as well. And so really that's how all of this works together. And so really just the next one is connected back to how all of these are connected to our strategic directions, profile of our graduate. And then the next one is just an example of what our new staff onboarding looks. I think I either stole this idea from Gina or we came up with this because we knew we had 45 extra minutes. So we started with when new staff are here. And so what we started doing years ago was a scavenger hunt around Winterset. And that's actually one of the first like professional development experiences they do, is they get to see the intricacies of Winterset and the community. So we have challenges for them where they take pictures with random things, and it's become a lot of fun, and overwhelmingly every year it gets more fun, it gets more competitive. And just a lot of fun. And so really, there's a ton of things happening. We could have shared way more, but just any questions that you have for me or anything that's going on in the building level, we can help answer. There's so much stuff happening right now. We'll have more time throughout the year to share the awesome stuff, but just kind of wanted to, kick this off with what's happening in these two buckets.
Corey, are all first and second year teachers involved in the mentoring program?
Yes, it's actually a state of Iowa requirement, and so that's part of how, so I support the mentors, and then I have time built throughout where they complete the program with the mentors. And then the coaches and I help facilitate some learning for those folks, but that's how they meet the letter of the law, but that's also how we onboard them as well. And so this year we went to do something different where now it's somebody in their department or something as close alike as possible. And there's been some really good feedback with that already. Versus having a building mentor, and that was feedback we received when we got from TLC feedback a couple of years ago.
That was
Last year.
last year.
Last year.
We did
Minutes,
TLC.
I was a first year teacher, but
Yep.
that's how you got it
Yeah.
acclimated when you got all this stuff in college and you're thrown into a classroom, it's like, oh, now what I do, so having a veteran.
Yep.
That's an excellent program.
Yep. And that's a way to capture that through the TLC structure, which is really nice. Because that's what it is. It's leading staff.
Questions, Corey?
Buddy Berry was phenomenal, what I saw of him, my little.
That went over
After
really well.
lunchtime. And then Mariah talked about it for like days, so. Anything else, guys?
Thanks.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you. Yeah.
All right, moving along, part of the consent agenda. First up is minutes. Anybody have any questions or changes to the minutes? Paid bills, Cammy.
Is there any questions for me? Is there anything that popped out first of all?
This is probably my ignorance, but what's the 25,000 for the hour jobs?
IJ, that's a program, it's work-based.
So IJAG is a partnership between the district, the state and corporations. So London Allen at the high school. We are third year with him. We paid 25,000 for him. He's a full-time employee. And then the state picks up the other third and corporate donations pick up the other third of his contract.
Another acronym, Iowa Jobs for America's Graduates.
I gotta get a cheat sheet.
Yep, yeah, I'll get you one. There is one on Iowa Association of School Boards website. There is. IASB. I'll get to that one.
PBL,
Project-based learning.
project-based.
I know that one.
I didn't have that one earlier. Couple things, let's see. On page one, partway down, the ADI system, that's a big invoice for 24/5. That's that blue projector system that went into the elementary. And Doug was really good. He went out and pounded the pavement and he got a lot of different donors. So we got a grant through the foundation, PTO, Hoyt McDonald, did a donation. So all in all, our cost on that was about $6,700. And you'll see that in two places. You'll also see that in Fund 91 for PTO's portion. What else did I want to mention?
I think that was the only one I had, Cammy.
I'm assuming there's an in and out for the WCSD supplies.
wondered that
WCSD
too.
supplies.
Yeah,
Down at the bottom where it's red with 165 and then black.
Well, that was the credit card, and lo and
Okay.
behold, some of the charges had to do with the activity fund, and she cuts a check from activity for that. But this ended up netting to a credit. So she couldn't get a check to generate, so we processed the base expense credit into general and then cut a check to activity to clear it out, and then she could code it correctly on the other side. A little creative accounting.
We're not to write down.
Yeah, accounting, right?
Romax Construction.
Stromax is concrete, and that was two projects. That's the elementary parking lot and the
Behind
pathway.
yep, so if you went to the football field, we added a sidewalk and then that to help with the band, getting all their equipment down, something they've asked for a while, so. Concrete's not cheap.
Concrete is expensive.
It was pretty invasive at the element, like that back parking lot, they had to do a lot of.
Yeah, we had passed it several times with the pack and it kept popping out and so we took it down and cleared all that out, put new concrete. Made the turnaround wider and put in curbs, so yeah, it was one of our Pepple save projects that just got ongoing maintenance came up.
Waldinger in the general fund of 31,000, I was able to move about 17,900 into Saver Pebble. We try to protect general at all costs. And maintenance and minor repairs have to be paid for out of general, but these were actual replacements of units, a condenser, heat pumps, so those were eligible to be moved over. You asked me about that one.
What was the band, is it Van Manen?
And Monon, used to be Summit, Travis's. And so they were doing a lot of the safety grant work for us this summer. So they did all that grant work they did this summer and probably some additional work.
We had the alarm put in here, the buzzer.
Yeah, buzzer put in here, put some security cameras in this building. So.
But let me ask you a question, because typically that would have come out of Saver Pebble,
Yeah.
because that's equipment that we were purchasing and tree improvements and cameras and things that normally show up in a different fund. But the federal funds will flow into general, so the expenditures had to be out of general.
Sure.
Anything else?
We will move on to personnel as presented there.
Yeah, so we have associates that are hired, some switching a little bit with cross-country. Reed Lichty stepped down from high school, went to junior high because the numbers works better with his family, so then we're advertising for a cross-country the high school coach, which was Mike Back was a volunteer, so he took it, so that's some of that switching there. And then Gary Emmerich decided that this will be his last year, so, yeah. Or last year was his last year, he's not gonna do it this year, so, sorry. So those are some of those.
Gotcha. Open enrollment.
We have 3 open enrollment applications out, and now remember, you approve those again because of the legislative change.
That's right.
All of those had to do to continuation after a move, so all of those are fine. We have 4 coming into the district, 3 are continuations after move. 1, they're coming from out of state, they'll be making their move sometime in October. They have land here, they'll be building here, but they're going to stay temporarily with family in Martinsdale, St. Mary's. So in order to allow him to enroll and get started right away at Winterset High School, there's an open enrollment there.
So your recommendation is accepting all of them in and out.
Correct, both in and out.
Any questions on the open enrollment? Because that's gonna be, remember to be a little different moving forward, yes.
And
Which is kind
typically,
of back to the way it
It's
was.
right for us, but not necessarily for,
but for the newer
Yeah.
members, and typically if they missed a deadline, it had to have good cause in order for you to accept it after the fact. And because this is that first year of a deadline, some families didn't know there was a deadline. So I know you guys have been a little bit more lenient this year, and then next school year we'll be back to the way we used to always do it.
Okay. Financial report.
And we're gonna spend a little bit more time on financials than we normally do, because we're gonna wrap, yeah, you're excited. We're gonna wrap up last year, and then we're gonna take a good look at next year and where we're headed.
Can't
So,
wait.
First of all, why don't you bring up the statement of position for fiscal '24? This is the final product. It changed very little from what you saw in the last 2 months. The audit is over, the field work is completed. If you'll come down to the bottom couple lines, when you look at expenditures and revenues, those totals by fund, and they all total up in that left-hand column, we had 31.7 in revenues and 28.7 in expenditures. Those will go right back to the certified budget that we do when we're doing taxes and we're certifying our budget. We certify the expenditures and revenues for all of those funds together. And then when we certify the expenditures, remember, we put it into those 4 buckets. We have so much instruction, so much support, so much school nutrition, and then others. So we did go and we modified our budget. We amended the budget for that other category for capital expenditures for our major save and Pebble expenses. Well, we didn't need to. We came in right under the original budget, but better to do it and not need it than to exceed our budget and get written up in our audit. The only thing probably when you're looking at this on a monthly basis, this is year end. I always want you to go to the very bottom line, which is the difference. It's comparing where the fund balance is right now compared to where it was a year ago and the net change. Are we up, are we down, or whatever? So for this year, if you look at it, you'll see that we're very close on cash in the general fund, just about broke even. No increase in cash, no decrease in cash. But when you look at management, we did have a decrease. We lowered our levy. We had early retirements. And then the place that we picked up the most was in debt service, that 2 million. Well, we pre-levied
Yep.
1.9, and interest rates have been very good to us. So that's just kind of the overview of last year. Nothing has really changed. We're in good, solid financial position. Let's go to fiscal 24 revenues and expenditures. You know, if you look at expenditures, yes, we were over our line item by 88,009. That's less than 1% of a $22 million budget. So we hit it pretty close. And it always kind of amazes me because things come up throughout the year that you didn't plan for, things that you planned for really didn't come to fruition. And all in all, when we get to the end of the year, we're pretty darn close year after year after year. If you look down in the revenues, those were 2% over what we had estimated. But we got some miscellaneous income coming in. Okay, let's go to the new year. Position for 25. I want to point out the government receivables in the general fund. Those were receivables we accrued at the end of the year. There are heart and special education bills on other districts that hadn't come in yet. Out of the 4 districts that were outstanding, I got 3 of them today. I made a few calls last week.
Bet you that's not a fun phone call to get.
No, usually they want to know it too, because they're about to certify their CAR and they don't want to miss an expenditure. So now it's time to kind of follow up. So, yeah, I don't know how they can say they didn't get it because they paid one of the 2 invoices in the same envelope. Okay, again, funds with UMB in Fund 40, that 2,500,000 cash with a fiscal agent. UMB is holding that pre-levy money because they're not yet callable. Okay. And if we look at expenditures and revenues for where we are today in fiscal 25, this is new to you. You have not seen this yet. You now have a line item expenditure number. The budget is complete. I processed that by throwing all of the staff in first, all of the contracted staff with the benefits. That takes up about 78 to 80% of the budget. Then you put in all the categoricals after that. And then you start looking at, you know, line by line, comparing over the last 4 or 5 years, your utilities, your gas, your, all of those types of things. So there we came in, we're about 3.4% higher than the prior year's line item. I think that's pretty reasonable and makes sense with what we did as far as staff increases. We are down a couple FTE, but 3.4 overall. But look at the projected spending authority just underneath it. We are projected to spend about over 99% of our annual authority, so that is perfect. And we're going to talk a little bit more about authority on my next worksheet. So we're right in where we should be. We're spending 99% of our authority. We could spend over our authority for a couple of years because of our balance, but that's where we are now. And if you look at the revenue on the bottom, the revenue is 22,078. So we are looking at a deficit spending on cash. Pretty level on authority, overspending on cash, not overspending, but deficit spending on cash. Okay, let's look at the authority worksheet. You guys don't ever, you see this maybe once a year when we go to do the certified budget. There's the preliminary 24 authority. And the only lines we have any control over at all are the blue lines. Those 4 that are grouped midway down the sheet, those are all places where we go to SBRC and we ask for additional authority. The one is still outstanding. It's called SBRC allowable growth number 1. That's going to be for, what do they call it? Limited English proficiency. If we had expenses over and above what they funded, they're going to give us authority for that. I'll bring that to you next month. the CAR has to be certified, the DE has to massage all that data, then they'll get that application out for us. So next month you'll approve that, and I have estimated 16,000. I think that'll be pretty close. Then everything else, down below, it's just miscellaneous income, and then it's our total expenditures. And I'm not gonna open it tonight, but I did include how the revenues are projected, what they were for last year, and it shows you how we calculate the miscellaneous revenue portion of it, because that comes with authority. Our authority only comes from the aid and levy, from the formula, from those 4 areas of SBRC, and from our miscellaneous income. That's the only way you can get authority. So your rule to remember is whenever you can get authority, you ask for it. That's about it. And then if you look over one more column, that's what we're projecting for next year. All the numbers that aren't colored, those came right off of the aid and levy. Those are projections for what we'll get from SBRC. The miscellaneous income, you can tie right back to the revenue worksheet that I've provided for you. And then there's our line item budget expenditures. So you'll see at the bottom, we've already talked about spending about 99%. That's what you want. If you're given authority to educate these students this year, that's really what you should be spending. You know, if you're spending any less, maybe and if you're overspending, you've got to watch it because you can't keep that up long term.
So that 0.9% that we're not going to be of authority?
No, that means of the annual authority we got, we're gonna spend 99 point, what was it, like 99? It's over 99%. So that's great.
Okay.
If you look at, we haven't done real well because they kept, I wanna say, they kept giving us more miscellaneous income. And sometimes you weren't even sure when it was coming. So if you look at the last 4 years, I mean, we were spending 94.39% in fiscal 22, then 95.89. This year we just wrapped up, we're at 97. But for next year, we're projecting at 99, so we're on the right path.
Okay.
That's kind of it in a nutshell. We're in good financial condition. We're projecting forward. We do believe there will be a decrease in enrollment, but we've budgeted for that. We all saw that coming. We also knew that we would be deficit spending down the road. And you have to do that with the way the funding formula is set up. We won't need to levy cash reserve yet because we have a fund balance. But down the road, continuing, and we will continue to deficit spend, then in year 3 or 4, you'll need some cash reserve and you'll back off managed measure pre-levy to keep your taxes fairly level, and that's how you'll move forward. Questions? Everybody seems to get it. I mean,
Yeah.
kids nodding.
Oh, good.
Yeah, great. Questions for me on that?
Thank you. How was your audit?
Audit was great. We won't have any findings of any kind. They were here for just the 1 day.
1 day,
Thanks.
and they left.
Tammy. You are at Godwin's.
Yeah, I've been doing this a while.
Thank you.
Anything for Tammy? Okay, contracts and agreements, DMAC Strive.
Yeah, so it's a program where we have students who are, they're allowed to continue their education in DMAC, special ed students through us. So they technically have met their requirements here, but we don't graduate them, we keep them on our books. We get money to help them continue their education through Strive. That's the agreement for that program. I think we've had 1 or 2 students that every year have been here. So, great program.
Any questions about Strive? Next up, school-based mental health provider.
Yep, so we started this, I think in the last year, getting them to sign an MOU if they're gonna be on site providing mental health services. So we have 3 there for you, Turning Point, Calm, and Mosaic. So,
And these were all here last year, right? Those 3?
yes.
Or-
is new.
Okay.
Who'd we lose? We had 3 last year.
Cornerstone?
Turning Point closed in Winterset.
Crossroads.
Points,
Or
Crossroads,
Crossroads.
Crossroads. We had 3 last year.
Yeah,
so.
Turning Point's still here.
I was
Yes.
just gonna say 2023.
Yeah.
Crossroads.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any questions on those? Not classroom clinic.
So Classroom Clinic is a web-based telehealth, mental health therapy provider. Allows parents to access, students to access some mental health online. It's a program that's fairly new, started out of a couple of board members in Ames actually started working on it. And we're able to use PEPAL dollars for it because we're buying the technology platform that runs it. And it's been through the audit. The auditors have approved it. We ran this agreement through Allers. And we're gonna give it a shot this year to try and help with some of those needs for our students. So basically set up a site for them. We go in and verify for the therapist that this is a student who has that time slot. They also take Medicaid, which is typically a hurdle for some of our families if they don't. So they will take it. So it's an agreement we have in place for that.
So
We
it's
knew
not
that-
just, I think my kid needs.
It goes through a referral process, yeah, and while we help the parents make the connection, and the parent works with them to information, but there's some sharing with the school personnel to make sure we're assisting the student as well, so. Anything I missed, Kendra?
Any questions on that one? Okay, LEA Hart,
It's just a new district.
Another contract with Hart, just yet, district we haven't served before, so Norfolk.
How's that program going?
Better. Way better than where we were, with, Or Oaks, yeah. They've been able to maintain staffing. They've expedited their process for intake, which was kind of a hurdle the first year, just took a little longer. But they're better at processing through referrals. And yeah, so it's doing better. I've returned, what Jeremy said at our meeting. Several students transitioned back to start the year and out of that program based on last year, so, yeah. Yeah, it is not at capacity yet, because of the kids, so they do have some open seats. I don't think we currently have a student
I don't think we do.
currently. We have a couple that, we may be making referrals for here in the near future, but right now, not serving any of our students, so.
About how many kids?
It can serve up to 16, or 18, sorry, 6 in each classroom. So there's one at the elementary, one at the middle school, one at the high school. So they can take up to 18 total. Yeah, question?
all right, if no other questions, I would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
So moved.
Motion by Emily, is there a second? Second by Gina, any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. There's no old business, so move on to new business, which is the MSA request, Cami, modified allowable growth and supplemental aid.
For the special ed deficit. This is special ed expenses that are over and above the per pupil and the special ed weighting that they gave us through the aid and levy. It's understood that you may incur more costs than you receive authority and cash for. So therefore, they have this blanket application out there. You just complete the special ed supplement, ours is already submitted. And our deficit this year is $406,572.72. But if you look at that authority worksheet that you saw earlier, you can see how it goes across lines. So we have been higher than this. We were a little lower last year because we had additional COVID money that they dumped on at the very last minute, additional monies there, which reduced the deficit. And this year it's up a little higher, but it's not as high as it was a couple of years ago.
If you remember though, too, we added a staff member because of increasing numbers in special ed, so I'm not shocked that this number is going up with the number of the increases we're seeing in special education as well either.
Any questions on that? None, I would entertain a motion to approve the MSA request for the special education deficit for fiscal year 24.
So moved.
Motion by Tim, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Malcolm, any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next up, approval of 24-25 fundraisers.
Yep, Mr. Mulder has put this together and sent it to us. Again, we try to approve all of them here at the beginning of the year. There will be some that will come up throughout the year. We try and catch those and get those to you, but it's kind of laid out what, doing the fundraiser, what to serve, and so I ask that you would approve those.
We doing the mattress fundraiser again this year, because I never quite figured that one out last year.
I don't know.
I had a phone call with Mr. Gross about that, and they kind of came out of left field, out of nowhere. I think we had a couple of us were sitting there going, oh, we're doing a mattress fundraiser?
That one-
Oh, that wasn't, I
That one
don't
got
think
by
we
the goalie.
approved that one, did we, Emily?
Discussions at coffee.
We did, yeah.
Fundraiser.
Yeah,
That was interesting.
yeah, that one got by the goalie, Tim. It happens once in a while.
Yeah, that was interesting.
Um,
Any other questions? Entertain a motion to approve the 24-25 fundraisers. Sorry, motion by Gina, second by Malcolm. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next up, AED, exterior outdoor AED machine from the Lions.
Yeah, so Ben came here last year. I think most everybody, Tim maybe didn't see, but the AED machine that's down at the football field is, the Lions purchased it and then are trying, as part of their fundraiser, asking to put it around, the community outside football fields. Was the first one they did. I think they've added one in, first is one in town.
Rotary put one at the park.
Okay, yeah. So, at that time, you talked about, whether we'd be interested in the second one. We didn't really make that decision at that time. We kind of took the one and put it in and signed the agreement. They would like to put a second one at the baseball, softball. It'll look very similar to the one you have. It'll sit next to that building. Requires us to get power to it, so there's a little bit of expense on the district, and then the $600 service that you, same agreement that you approved before. Ben asked if I was interested. I said, I don't know, see if the board is interested in doing a second one or not, so.
The Lions are funding it.
They buy it,
Mhm.
they buy the machine, and it's $600 per year per unit. For maintenance upkeep that they do. So if we do a second one, we'd be paying $1,200 a year for the two. Yeah,
Seems like a reasonable way to spend $600.
Yeah,
Seems like a bargain if you really.
if you need it in that moment, it's well worth that expense.
I think it's pretty minimal. I don't think it's that much of a distraction. It's sitting there, hasn't been tampered with.
That was my only, have we had any issues with the one that's been installed?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
Yeah, no. So it's just if you would like to add a second one at that baseball, softball.
What was the, I mean, this is a random question, but what was the expense for the electrical service? Is it already kind of there? Is the electrical situation in the softball field? like
They
this?
have electricity right there. They have to get it through the wall to the outside like they
put it
did
outside,
before.
okay.
Yeah, yeah. And because there's in the back of that shed, is where, like the breakers and stuff run into. Assuming we go to run it. I mean, there will be a cost. I don't think it'll be an exorbitant cost to get power out there because it's just a regular 110. Power to run it. So.
Anybody like to make a motion to approve a second outdoor AED machine? Motion by Malcolm, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Emily, any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next up, approval of 2024-25 SiAC membership.
Yep, so every year, there's something, we kind of went back and forth and kind of got clarification last year that this is a board appointed or approved committee. So we started bringing a list of those individuals to the board. This is who, when Corey reached out this year, got commitments for. We're just asking that you approve it. We have talked a little bit that this group, obviously we'll start with some of the discussion of the cell phones with this group and start with them as part of it. So ask that you approve those that have indicated they want to serve on it.
Any questions, concerns? Entertain a motion to approve. Motion by Gina, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Tim, any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Approval of superintendent's goals for 24-25.
Oh, just a second. It must get kicked out because I was logged in.
Yeah, it kicks you out after.
I was,
Well, there's no attachment here either.
Well, that's because somebody wants it in assembly.
Oh, that's right, you're doing it assembly, my bad.
Just saying.
Wow.
Um,
Oh, I felt that one. Anybody else feel that one?
It's all good. It's all good. No, it's all good. It's all good. So I went in and put them in assembly. So they're gonna mirror what we're doing as districts. So one is that 100% of our staff will implement an authentic application-based learning task. Meets the district's definition of authentic learning by the end of the year. Just to support that work across each building, you heard every building talking about it. So we'll support that and monitor that. I think it falls in line with what we're trying to do. So that one, again, they're all gonna kind of mirror what we're doing for our regular professional development. The second one is the work with the instructional leadership team. Again, I'm an active member of that team to flesh out those 6 profile of graduate skills. By the end of the years that we have descriptions and what do we call them, Corey?
So like characteristics.
Yeah,
attributes,
sorry,
competencies,
yeah, attributes, the competencies, sorry, competencies and descriptors for all of those skills at different grade levels. The big one, another one to take on is this, the self-worth and connection others is to assess the impact of cell phone usage on our students. To develop self-worth and connection and update the policies to reflect that discussion. I think I gave you on the board update, ISB has put out sample policies. We're gonna sit on those until we decide what we need to do here based on this discussion. So leading that work, being involved in that work will be a big part of what I'm engaged in this fall, at least. The goal is to try and get you something in December to review for board policy and policies and practices that we could roll.
You said December.
For second semester, we'd roll something out second semester. So that's kind of the goal that we're working towards. So yeah, that'll be a big part of what I do is just lead that work, coordinate that work for the district with the end goal being updated policies and procedures. I sat through a webinar with the author. Great, been waiting for the video recording and the slides. It's about 30 minutes where he goes over kind of the 4 tenets of the book, which I know Emily's read and we've read, and his recommendations, and goes through all of the data, the slides up front. Hopefully get access to that. I think that'd be a really good resource for staff, families to view. It's about his discussion's about 25 to 30 minutes, and then there's a Q&A afterwards, but just watching him run through all the data in a short amount of time and rationale would be good. So, yeah, that'll be a big part of what I do. 4 is just, again, the financial piece with Kami's departure, the hiring of that and working closely with that individual and her during the transition will be obviously a big part of what the work this year. So that's the goal I have for finance. And then the 5th one is to manage the resources to maintain our spending authority. And as we go through this, I gave you the butts and seats number. Yeah, we're right now serving 35 less kids than we served last year. That's what I look at that for staffing. She looks at certified because that all comes with all the funding and they all play together. We built in a decrease of 25 in certified in our projection. So as you saw, we're in a pretty strong financial position. I don't know that we'll need to make cuts this year, but just to put in perspective, the demographer said we were gonna be down 125 in 5 years. I'm going in my 5th year, we're down 88 from where I started. So they're not terribly far off. So. Any questions on those? Try to align with the work in the building and then take a couple that are more closely related to finance that are gonna be a part of it. CKH, you'll notice, wasn't a direct one. We're obviously gonna continue to support that. But that really is, in my opinion, is in the process champions teams and we'll continue to fund it, and support it, but they're really leading the work at the building level, about 4 years in, so.
Any questions for Justin? If not, I entertain a motion to approve superintendent goals for 24-25.
And we'll meet a couple times a year when I'll add things that have gone to those and we'll review them. I think the first one is November. We can talk about if that's too soon or not, but I think November, February is gonna be an update. So.
So moved.
Is there a second? Motion by Emily, second by Gina. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
I,
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Board member reports. We're gonna start with Gina. You have anything? Malcolm?
nothing.
Like I said, I've been in the high school. It's working great. Get to go do photos tomorrow with Doug. So I'll see how that goes. I'm excited to see the Lou. I know it won't be on during photos, but I try to hang around a little bit later and see if Kaylee gets that up and running. I want to see that up and running. I think that's going to be a really nice piece in the elementary school. So, but other than that, I have a cross country meet tomorrow night.
Me too.
That'll be fun. Athletics are up and going, so it's always fun.
Did we do engagement night already? Have we had a board meeting since then? The color run
No.
was a success. My son was.
Every
Not that
color.
It's just about my son. He all color.
Yeah.
So nice job. And Josh, did you get all of the color out of your clothes?
We have a light pink shirt now.
Very good.
We'll go with that.
But great job. It really was a lot of.
It's like a whole new shirt.
Nothing. Okay. Justin.
Yeah, I gave quite a bit, and then as they were talking, I jotted some more down, but it was getting long, so, yeah, I was typing it up. Going to my 5th year, you know, kind of not put myself out on a lot of state level things. I feel like kind of ready to do that, and the opportunity came up to be on the rep council for the Iowa Girls High School Athletic Union. Had nominations were in last week. I was one of the top 2 nominations, so their voting's going on right now. It's myself and Sean Holloway at Norwalk.
And Mitch Gross.
It was Mitch Gross. I had to have them resend the ballot. Apparently there's a Mitch Gross on the eastern part of the state that's also running for a rep council, and so, yeah, who knows?
So you versus Holloway?
Yeah, that's the 2 in our southwest, so we'll see. Yeah, just a chance to represent at this level and have a voice at that table, I think is good. We talked about facility master planning and reached out to ICAT. Since then, I've had 2 other architect firms reach out to me and have wanted to meet. I've met with them both. After listening to Chad and ICAT, I'm gonna ask him to come back in October, do a presentation. As of right now, it's your decision. I would probably lean that way because they'll do facility master planning and then help with architect selection where Emergent or Bray or Boyd Jones is the other one who reached out. They can all vie for that and do it. He showed me what they come out of and they're pretty extensive plans. So he'll present to you in October, get a chance to ask your questions, to go through facility master planning. He'll include, they will include mechanical and electrical. So they'll review those and be able to tell us like, hey, here's the window of time when you probably need to plan to take care of X, Y, or Z. So anyway, you'll get to hear from them in October and we'll make a decision going forward. I think I sent you an overview of their proposal in a board update. He'll go into more detail at that time. ASA National Conference registration, that's open. Board policies, I need to get kind of your blessing to do that. It is in my contract, but I'd like to register for that before October. It's in March. That gives me free registration, so I save a little money on the registration, so I'll plan to do that. We talked about butts and seats. It is kind of right in line with where we were projecting, and we're in a great position to manage it. Homecoming, Cam covered that. Should be a great week. Donovan Gris put some things out. High school kids have put some stuff out. Same dress up days across the district. I know there's been concern in the past where they've been different at buildings. This year we felt the themes were universal, so they'll be the same. So you have to worry about shot socks on one day. And I was there, I get it.
Middle school's doing one thing,
yeah,
junior high.
So they're all the same.
Adam Sandler Day, elementary.
One thing, student activities in Barstool, maybe a not so positive. We're seeing some kids show up to activities that are just running havoc and a group at the football game that board administrators talk to. We're not gonna do that anymore.
Be more specific.
Just leaving, going out, tackle each other, they'd come back in, they went down in the grass area, just screwing around, throwing bottles.
Middle school, junior high, high school,
Oh, more junior high.
junior high.
Trying to slap each other in inappropriate places, they had talked by 3 administrators and I sat one down and said, like, we're not doing it. We're just at the home volleyball game, they're up behind the on the bleachers behind Penrod, and I ran them out of there and spilled water, and we're just like, we're here for a game, if you can't, you're gonna cause havoc, we're gonna send them home. Just, don't think we do enough monitoring of students that are without having to deal with the same group all the time. So that, and then one thing that I don't know if you heard about it, ADM is a rival. There's these Barstool accounts. They're not great. They're not, they're the worst version of our student bodies, I would say. Some things, ADM's got pretty chippy, got racial, in nature. Cam and Nick and they reached out to high school administration right away. ADM called me, they absolutely don't condone it, it's not tied to the school, but tracking down who's running them is really hard. And they'll put right on the tag, this is not affiliated with the school district. But as before I came in the morning, I did check, it looks like they took that crap down. Ours isn't a whole lot better, but it didn't cross racial. We've talked about what do we do. I think Cam's got a great relationship with high school kids, and he's talked to them about not doing that, and but it's just not great stuff. So if you heard about it, we did what we could. We contacted their administration. They worked with us. They were very apologetic, obviously not what they're condoning, and got it taken down. Parent was rightfully upset. I mean, rightfully frustrated. So if you heard that, we were doing everything we could with them to try and get it taken care of, but not the best version of our kids or their kids, I'm sure. So November board meeting, would like to get to the vertical whiteboards that we talked about, that Tim mentioned, that Mr. Darling, Tamara and that team has done a really nice job, and it's a lot of fun to watch these kids work. They'd like us to come to the middle school in November to go to the classroom for our meeting, so that's okay. We'll try and get over there and they'll present. You're gonna see these kids work at the whiteboard. I think it's pretty cool to watch them demonstrate their thinking. So unless I hear different, we'll book that. And a couple things that came up that I think these guys need some kudos for. We have admin presenting at state and national level around things that are going on. So Corey, Kendra, and Josh around memorable moments and some attendance presented at SAI. They're going back to present to is it new superintendents?
New principals, associate principals.
And associate principals next week. About that same work. The AI team we put together, we were well ahead of some districts. Chad kind of spoke at ITech. They asked us to come present at ITech. He's going to present there. Probably SI next fall, and are trying to present out at NASP about our work on how we've tried to empower staff and vet AI tools and do that. So kudos to all the work that they're doing and getting some recognition for. We kind of talk about it, set the direction, and then they run with it and do a pretty good job. Donovan Group is coming here on October 24th. That's the 24th. The career exploration day, we talked to them. We want to highlight the LU. We want to highlight the anatomos table. We want to highlight these things that we've invested in our district. Because we're competing for kids. I mean, bottom line, we're just competing for kids. So they're gonna be here. We'll set that up, get a lot of cool things out there. And then the last thing is I shared the activities fine art report for you. It's online the last 3 years. It's really great to go back and look at all the accomplishments. Thanks to Nick and Angie for, Nick came on and picked it up about 3/4 away and got it to the finish line. So, but a lot of information on there. Hopefully parents go and find it. We'll continue to do those things. That's what I've got.
All right, any questions for Justin? If not, next meeting is October 14th, regular time, regular place. And we are adjourned.